What if I told you that the reason quantum manifestation keeps failing for most people has nothing to do with technique or timing or how badly you want it, and everything to do with a silent frequency? You're not even aware you're broadcasting one that overrides your vision board, drowns out your affirmations, and blocks the exact reality you're trying to call in. Because here's the truth no one wants to hear. It's not that you're not doing enough, it's that your energy is out of sync, and the field knows it. You see, the quantum field doesn't care how many times you script your desires. It doesn't care how perfectly you visualize your dream house or how passionately you repeat your affirmations. It cares about your signal, and that signal is determined by the frequency underneath your words, underneath your wants, underneath your effort. And for most people, that frequency is survival, not creation. It's fear, not trust. It's contraction, not coherence. Imagine you're trying to play a symphony through a broken radio, every note distorted, every chord jagged. You're doing all the right things, but the music is off and you don't know why, so you try harder. You add more notes, more instruments, more effort, but the distortion remains, and the field hears that distortion and reflects it back to you. Not because it's punishing you, but because it mirrors who you're being, not what you're asking for. This is the core misunderstanding that fractures manifestation at the root. People try to manifest from a fractured self, from a nervous system that is dysregulated, from a mind that is spinning stories of doubt, from a body that is still holding trauma, and then they wonder why the field keeps reflecting more noise, more chaos, more uncertainty. You think the universe is ignoring you, when really, it's just responding to the dominant frequency you're holding. Not the surface level one you're speaking about, but the deeper one you live inside, the one you breathe in, the quiet moments, the one you carry into your relationships, your choices, your thoughts before sleep. And when that frequency is laced with lack, everything you try to manifest becomes a chase because the field doesn't deliver your goals, it delivers your state. So the question isn't, what do you want to manifest? The question is, what timeline are you vibrating in right now? Not the one you think you're in, not the one you post about, but the one your body has memorized, because the field responds to memory, not imagination. And if your nervous system is still anchored in a past timeline of failure, of disappointment, of striving, then no amount of visualization will override that until you become aware of it and begin to shift it. This is why quantum manifestation fails for most people. Not because they're lazy or unworthy, but because they're trying to paint over chaos with pretty colors. They're building towers on shaking ground. They're performing the future instead of embodying it. And the field knows the difference every time. So I want you to pause right now and feel into your system. What's the real frequency you've been living in? What's the emotional baseline you return to when things get quiet? Is it trust? Is it peace? Is it wholeness? Or is it doubt? Is it pressure? Is it fear? Because that baseline is what the quantum field reads and responds to. Most people don't realize that there's a split inside them, a quiet fracture between the version of them that wants the dream and the version of them that doesn't believe it's safe to receive it. And this fracture is what sends mixed signals into the quantum field. One part of you is saying yes, while another part is saying no, and the field listens to both because it always listens to coherence, not contradiction. You say you want love, but do you feel safe being seen? Do you trust yourself to open without losing yourself? Do you believe that love will meet you or abandon you when it gets close? Because the field doesn't manifest based on your words, it manifests based on your readiness. And readiness isn't mental, it's somatic. It's in your nervous system. It's in your breath. It's in the way your body responds when the thing you asked for actually begins to show up. This is why so many people sabotage their manifestations, not because they're broken, but because their body is still wired for the opposite timeline. You say you want abundance, but the moment money comes in, your system contracts. You say you want success, but when an opportunity arises, you hesitate. You overthink, you freeze, and then you call it self-sabotage, but it's not. It's self-protection. Because somewhere deep inside your system still associates the new reality with danger and the old one with familiarity. And the quantum doesn't care what you prefer. It cares what you embody. So the work is not about forcing the new timeline into place. It's about making your body feel safe enough to live there. It's about regulating your system so that trust becomes your baseline. Not panic, it's about rewiring the emotional blueprint that tells you safety equals struggle and pleasure equals punishment. Because here's the truth. Manifestation isn't about desire, it's about congruence. It's when every part of you says yes, not just your conscious mind, but your unconscious patterns, your emotional rhythms, your somatic responses. And this is where most people get stuck. They think manifestation is about thinking better thoughts, but thoughts are just the surface. They're the tip of the frequency. What really sends the signal is emotion and sensation. It's the state you return to when you're not performing, when no one's watching, when your mask is off, and your nervous system is exposed. That's the signal that creates the timeline. Not the mantra, not the goal, not the perfectly curated dream board, but the raw, unfiltered state of your inner being. So here's the real question. Are you actually available for the thing you say you want, or are you still emotionally bonded to the version of you that survived without it? Are you still carrying an identity that only knows how to fight for crumbs while praying for the feast? Because until that identity is met, until it's honored, healed, integrated, it will keep pulling you back into the old vibration over and over again. Not because you're failing, but because your body is trying to protect you from a frequency it doesn't recognize as home. This is why the quantum doesn't move when you're chasing it from scarcity. This is why it bends for people who feel like they already belong in the new timeline, who breathe like it's already here, who walk like the field has no choice but to mirror their coherence back to them because it does. In the next part, we'll explore how to stop chasing timelines and start stabilizing them, how to build emotional safety into your system. So manifestation becomes inevitable, not accidental, not erratic, not fragile, but embodied, predictable, and aligned. So how do you actually stabilize a new timeline? How do you shift from knowing the theory to living the frequency, from chasing the dream to becoming the dream? Because this is where most people unconsciously exit the process, not because they're unwilling, but because they've never been taught how to hold the vibration when reality hasn't shifted yet. They try to jump timelines with their minds while their nervous systems are still wired for survival, still bracing for collapse, still gripping the past. Think of yourself like a tuning fork. The field vibrates to your dominant frequency, not your temporary high, not your occasional peak, but the consistent tone that you hum through your breath, your movement, your choices, your internal dialogue. And most people don't realize that their dominant frequency is actually built in the invisible moments, the moments when nothing seems to be happening, when the dream isn't arriving, when doubt starts whispering again. That's where the frequency is forged, not in the breakthroughs, but in the wobbles, in the quiet moments when you decide not to default back to the old self. And this is where coherence becomes everything. Coherence means alignment between your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. It means your body is no longer contradicting your intention. It means you stop saying "I trust" while your breath says "I don't." It means your words, your posture, your decisions all speak the same energetic language. And when that happens, the field responds, not because you forced it, but because you became magnetically unavoidable. So how do you create coherence? You start with presence, not performance. You bring your awareness back to the body, back to the now. You notice when you've drifted. You feel when you've tightened. You gently invite yourself back into the timeline you've chosen, not through punishment, not through force, but through repetition, through compassion, through anchored embodiment that looks like breathing deeply when your old story wants to take over, that looks like softening your shoulders when you're clenching for control, that looks like asking yourself, what would the version of me who already has this do right now, and then doing one small thing from that state, not to convince the universe, but to convince your own nervous system that this is safe, this is home, this is who we are now. Because the field doesn't shift when you beg, it shifts when you align. It doesn't respond to your desperation. It responds to your devotion, your consistency, your ability to hold the vibration when there's no proof, yet no applause, yet no results yet, just you and the signal you're sending. And this is what separates dreamers from manifestors. Not technique, but stability. Not knowledge, but frequency mastery. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be coherent. You do have to be willing to notice when you wobble and bring yourself back again and again and again. Because this is not about avoiding the old frequency, it's about becoming so familiar with the new on. This is the piece almost nobody talks about, and yet it's the reason most manifestation techniques don't work. Not because you're not visualizing hard enough, not because your affirmations are wrong, but because your emotional body is out of sync with the signal you're trying to send into the field. You cannot out-manifest the emotional frequency you habitually live in. And this is where the real work begins, because emotional energy is not just a side effect, it's the broadcast, it's the language. The quantum understands more fluently than any word you speak, and most people try to jump into higher timelines while dragging unprocessed grief, shame, guilt, fear with them, trying to speak abundance while their nervous system is still fluent in survival. But the quantum field doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you embody. And if you're not regulating your emotional energy, you're not really shifting your signal. Because here's the truth, every emotion has a frequency. Every state you feel has a vibration. And when you don't learn to feel them, you don't learn to move them. And when you don't move them, they calcify into your signal, repeating themselves as experiences. So the question is not, how do I get rid of fear or doubt or sadness? The question is, how do I hold them without becoming them? How do I witness them without collapsing into them? How do I feel the full wave without letting it steer my choices? This is emotional mastery, not suppression, not bypassing, not numbing, but intimacy with your own inner world. Because here's what changes everything. The moment you stop fearing your emotions, they stop ruling your life. The moment you create safety for the parts of you that were once shamed, ignored, silenced, you stop broadcasting fragmentation and start broadcasting coherence. Not because you're always happy, but because you're always whole. And from this place, you start to ask new questions. Not how do I avoid feeling this, but what is this emotion telling me about my signal? What is it showing me about the timeline I'm still entertaining? What belief is this emotion reinforcing, and do I still want to carry it into the next version of me? And you regulate not by overriding, but by listening, by slowing down, by breathing through it, by placing a hand on your body, and reminding yourself this too is part of the path. Because manifestation is not about hacking your way out of feeling. It's about learning to feel without being hijacked. It's about becoming fluent in your own emotional language, so you stop reacting from the past and start responding from the future. Let's make it tangible. When you feel scarcity arise, don't fight it. Feel it, breathe into it, and then ask, what would abundance do right now? When you feel fear surfacing, don't push it down, hold it with love, and then ask, what would trust say in this moment? When you feel unworthy, don't run away, get closer, and then ask, what would power choose now? These are not mental tricks. They are energetic shifts. They are acts of frequency alignment. And every time you do this, every time you regulate instead of react, you collapse the gap between who you were and who you're becoming, between the timeline you've known and the one you're building. In the next section, we'll anchor this into your daily life. We'll walk through the embodiment rituals that train your system to live the signal before the proof and hold the new frequency, even when the old one tries to pull you back. This is where most people stop. They understand the idea. They feel inspired. They try it for a few days, but then they fall back into the old rhythm, the old thoughts, the old feelings, and they think it didn't work. But here's the truth. Manifestation doesn't fail. You fall out of frequency before the shift has time to land. And this is why embodiment is the key. You have to live as if, not pretend, not perform, but embody what it feels like to already be the version of you who has stepped into the next timeline. And this is not about faking it. It's about tuning to the signal before the evidence shows up. It's about living in coherence with your desire, even when your reality still looks the same. You become the frequency by rehearsing the state again and again, not just in your mind, but in your nervous system, in your body, in your breath. You train yourself to hold that energy like a muscle. You don't just visit abundance. Once you live there, you don't just touch trust for a moment, you anchor there. Let's make this real before you check your phone in the morning. Tune in and ask, what frequency am I choosing today? Is it contraction or expansion? Is it fear or curiosity? Is it doubt or certainty? You decide, and throughout the day, keep tuning to that signal with micro actions, micro adjustments, micro choices. Because the quantum field doesn't care about how big your effort looks. It responds to how aligned your signal is. When scarcity whispers, don't fight it. Just notice and shift 1 degree toward generosity. When fear visits, don't resist it. Just exhale and lean 1 breath deeper into trust. When comparison arises, don't spiral. Just come back to your own lane and remember who you're becoming. Every single moment is a choice point, and each choice is a signal you're sending into the field. And here's the part. No one tells you. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Coherence doesn't mean you never wobble. It means you know how to return faster, with more grace, with less judgment, with deeper trust, because it's not about controlling your life. It's about calibrating to a new frequency and allowing life to meet you there. So how do you build this into your day? You create anchors, rituals, reminders. You set intentions not to chase, but to align you. Place post-it notes with words like trust. Expand enough on your mirror, not for motivation, but to remind your system where you're going. You move your body with the energy of your new timeline. You speak to yourself like the version who already knows you. Meditate not to escape, but to embody you. Journal not to figure it out, but to feel it through. And every night before you sleep, you ask, where did I hold the signal? Where did I lose it? Where did I choose from love instead of fear? Where did I choose from fear? And still return with grace. This is the practice. This is the path. This is where everything starts to shift. Because what if time is not what you think? What if time isn't a straight line with a start and an end? What if it's a loop, a spiral, a field that responds to your state and not your schedule? Most people think manifestation takes time, but that's a distortion. It doesn't take time. It takes alignment, and alignment can happen in an instant or unfold over years. But it's not the clock that delivers. It's your coherence with the outcome that collapses the timeline. You don't receive something because it's been long enough you receive it, because you've become the version of you who naturally lives in that frequency. And that version doesn't wait. They align. And when you align, time bends. When you embody the future, now the future rushes toward you, because in the quantum field now is all there is. The field doesn't recognize later. It only reflects your now. And here's what most people miss. They keep checking the clock. They keep watching the calendar. They ask, why isn't it here? Yet, why hasn't it happened? And every time they ask, they send the signal, I don't have it. I'm separate from it. It's missing. And that signal becomes the feedback loop that delays the arrival. This is the trap of time. You keep looking for proof. Instead of becoming the proof, you keep waiting for evidence. Instead of living as the evidence and the field mirrors that it says, okay, you are the one who waits, so you will wait. You are the one who doubts, so you will see more reasons to doubt. But what if you drop the timeline completely? What if you stopped measuring your progress in days and started measuring it in frequency? What if you started trusting the unseen and calibrating to the felt instead of the visible? Because here's the secret, time becomes irrelevant when you're tuned in, when your body is living the vibration, when your choices are anchored in your desired reality, when your nervous system is no longer chasing but receiving. Now becomes the most powerful portal in your life. And when you return to now over and over again, not with impatience, but with presence, something incredible happens. The loop shortens, the distance collapses. The future version of you doesn't feel far. They feel familiar. You recognize yourself in them, not someday, but today. So ask yourself right now, what version of me am I being? Am I in the loop of lack or the loop of arrival? Am I cycling through fear or spiraling into expansion? Your awareness is the lever. Your choice is the activator. Your coherence is the magnet. And this is how you collapse time, not by pushing harder, but by embodying deeper. You shift from I'm waiting for it to I already am it. And the field doesn't hesitate. It responds, it reflects, it accelerates. In the next part, we'll bring all of this together. We'll explore how to become a living transmission of your future, how to stop leaking energy into the old timeline, and how to hold the vibration of it's already done until reality has no choice but to match it. This is where everything becomes real. This is where you stop thinking about it and start living it. Because quantum manifestation isn't about believing harder. It's about becoming clearer. It's not about wishing. It's about wiring your nervous system to hold the frequency of what you say you want. And here's the truth. Most people never get here. Not because they're not capable, but because they wait for confirmation before commitment. They want evidence before embodiment. They want proof before presence. But the quantum doesn't work that way. The field responds to your signal, not your timeline, not your logic, not your effort, but the quality of your embodiment in this moment. So if you say you want freedom, you have to act from freedom. You have to breathe from freedom. You have to walk like someone who already knows the door is open. If you say you want love, you can't wait for someone to give it to you first. You have to be the expression of it. You have to soften your guard. You have to meet life with the energy you want, mirrored back. Because the field is always listening, and it's not listening to your words. It's listening to your being. It's listening to your breath, your posture, your attention, your choices, your reactions. Your coherence is your language. And when all parts of you speak the same message, the field amplifies it into form. So how do you do this, practically? How do you live it before it arrives? You wake up and ask, what would the version of me who already has this do today? And then you move from that answer. Even if it's small, even if it's subtle, you start living like it's already true because the body believes action more than intention. You train your nervous system not with grand gestures, but with consistent alignment with micro moments of coherence, with choosing the new timeline even when the old one feels familiar. Even when it tempts you back, you stop leaking energy through doubt, through waiting, through proving, and start anchoring it into being, into showing up as the version of you who doesn't need to ask, where is it? Because they already know it's here. And the moment you live that truth, the moment you breathe it, without resistance, the field responds. It always responds. But you have to go first. You have to become the frequency before the evidence. You have to stop outsourcing your alignment to outcomes. You have to stop treating manifestation like a transaction and start treating it like a relationship, a dance, a dialogue between your inner state and the infinite intelligence that surrounds you. Because once you embody the frequency of the thing you desire, you stop chasing. You start receiving, and the gap closes. Reality shifts, timelines collapse, and what once felt distant becomes obvious, inevitable, already done. This is the real work, not manifesting from the mind, but manifesting from the body, not projecting into the future, but collapsing it into the now, not forcing outcomes, but becoming the one who naturally lives them. So pause, take a breath, feel into your body right now. Ask yourself, am I broadcasting the energy of waiting or the energy of arrival? Am I holding the frequency of trust or the tension of control? Am I speaking in the language the quantum understands? Or am I distorting my signal with doubt and hesitation? Your awareness is everything. Your frequency is the message, your body is the transmitter, and your life is the mirror. So tune with intention, move with clarity, breathe with belief, live like it's already done, and the field will not only hear you, it will meet you. So now we arrive at the edge of the map, the part where you stop watching and start walking. Because no script, no technique, no visualization is more powerful than the choice you make after this video ends. Quantum manifestation fails for most people. Not because it's too complicated, but because it's too simple, too subtle, too honest. It asks you to listen, not to your mind, but to your frequency. To feel not just what you want, but who you're being as you want it. It doesn't care about your vision board. If your nervous system is still anchored in fear, it doesn't respond to your affirmations. If your body is still rehearsing lack, it doesn't shift reality for the version of you who's pretending. It shifts it for the version who's becoming. And that version is already inside you, not waiting to be created, but remembered, reactivated, reclaimed. So pause for a moment. Feel into this space. Ask yourself, not what do I want to manifest, but what am I ready to embody? Not what timeline do I wish for, but what frequency am I willing to stabilize? Because that choice changes everything. That moment of coherence is not just symbolic, it's quantum. It's the very bridge that collapses separation between where you are and where you've already arrived. You don't need to control it. You don't need to force it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Willing to feel, willing to shift. Willing to return again and again to the signal you came here to hold. And if you're feeling that signal right now, if something inside you feels different, clearer, softer, more certain, that's not coincidence, that's coherence. That's you aligning with your own field, with your own power, with the future that's already choosing you back. So drop into the comments right now and name the frequency you're choosing. Maybe it's trust, maybe it's courage, maybe it's enoughness, maybe it's presence, whatever it is. Let it be more than a word. Let it be an anchor. Let it be your broadcast. And if this video stirred something in you, if you felt your energy shift, if you remembered who you really are, Then subscribe right now, not to a channel, but to yourself, to this path, to this community that's playing in the quantum with you. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The field is already responding. Keep aligning, keep embodying, keep becoming. Your reality is listening. Your future is now.